Okay, get ready, because today we are going deep into the world of Elliot Page.
Oh, yeah.
He's an acclaimed actor, but also an outspoken advocate. And,
Right.
his journey has really sparked a lot of debate.
Absolutely.
Is he a genuine force for change, or is there something else going on? We're going to try to figure that out.
Yeah, and I think you've got a great collection of sources for this one. Articles and interviews,
Mm-hmm.
even excerpts from his memoir, Pageboy. So really like a 360-degree view.
Yeah, exactly. We're going deep here to try to understand everything.
Yeah.
The motivations, the impact, the whole picture.
Yep.
Because with Elliot Page, things aren't always so clear.
No, not at all. And
But
what I think is really interesting is how his career really took off.
Yeah.
Even before his transition. I mean, he was already a Hollywood star. You think about Hard Candy and X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Those weren't small parts. They were critically acclaimed performances,
Oh, yeah.
really showcasing his talent early on.
Yeah, and then Juno. Right. Like, that took him to a whole other level.
Absolutely.
An Oscar nomination for playing a pregnant teenager.
Right.
That's not your typical, teen movie.
No, Juno was a phenomenon for a reason. And I think,
Yep.
it tackled complex themes, unplanned pregnancy, adoption, all these societal expectations.
Right.
But it was in this quirky and heartwarming package,
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think Page's performance was the anchor of that.
Totally. Yeah.
He brought such depth and authenticity to that role, and I think that really resonated with audiences worldwide.
Yeah, so, okay, we've established pre-transition, Elliot Page,
Yeah.
a bona fide Hollywood star, like on a roll.
Totally.
And then 2020 happens.
Big year.
He comes out as transgender.
Yeah, a pivotal moment, not just for him personally, but
Mhm.
for the wider conversation about trans visibility in Hollywood.
Yeah.
His announcement was met with so much support, which is great.
Of course.
But also, as you might expect, a fair amount of backlash.
Yeah. And, he doesn't shy away from addressing that backlash either.
No, not at all.
In Pageboy,
Mhm.
he talks about receiving, really transphobic comments on his Instagram,
Yeah.
even after winning, a prestigious award.
It's so tough,
Yeah.
It highlights I think, complexities of fame while also,
Right.
being so vocal
Yeah.
for a marginalized community. There's this expectation, I think, with celebrities
Yeah.
that they should just be grateful,
Right.
for their success and just stay quiet.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, exactly. But he refused to be silenced, which I think is really admirable.
Yeah, it's interesting. Then we can bring in the Umbrella Academy
Oh, yeah?
and his character's transition in that, from Vanya to Victor.
Right.
It kind of mirrored his own journey in a way.
Totally. And the show, integrated it so well into the storyline.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a name change. It was a thoughtful exploration of gender identity.
Yeah.
And I think that resonated with a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
And I think for Page, it was clearly more than just acting.
Right.
A chance to bring his own experience to the screen
Totally. Yeah.
and contribute to this bigger conversation.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
It's not just about, the roles he chooses, but the intention
Right.
behind them. He's really using his platform to amplify a message,
For sure.
to challenge these norms.
Absolutely.
So that leads us to this question of his memoir.
Oh, yeah.
Pageboy, he could have easily just continued acting and just been relatively quiet, right,
Right.
about his personal life.
Totally.
But he chose to write this deeply personal account of his journey.
It's a big choice.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, in interviews, he's talked about wanting to control his narrative, to share his story on his terms.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Right.
And he also talks about, wanting to connect with other trans people, to
Right.
kind of offer this sense of hope and solidarity.
Yeah, and I think there's a quote from Pageboy that really gets me. He says, "I was not a girl. I did not understand why I was being made to be one."
Wow, that's powerful.
And it speaks to this, profound disconnect, right?
Yeah.
This sense of, being forced into a mold that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how painful that must have been.
Oh, especially given his profession,
Right.
where image is everything.
Yeah, where you're constantly performing,
Yeah.
even off screen.
Yeah, exactly. And Pageboy really delves into that pain,
Mhm.
It's raw, it's honest, it doesn't shy away from these difficult emotions.
Yeah.
But it also charts his journey to self-acceptance, his decision to transition,
Right.
and that sense of liberation that came with it,
Yeah. So we're seeing this very deliberate choice,
Tony.
this vulnerability to use his platform to speak this truth.
Uh-huh.
But is it genuine or is it calculated?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's
Yeah.
easy to be cynical, right? To
It's
assume that
easy.
everything a celebrity does is just for show or for their own personal gain, right?
Yeah.
But there is a depth of feeling in Pageboy, I think.
Yeah.
A rawness that's really hard to fake.
Yeah, he also talks about the intense scrutiny
Oh, yeah.
that came with this,
Of course.
right? His public transition,
Yeah.
the transphobic comments, the pressure
Yeah.
to be a spokesperson for an entire community.
It couldn't have been easy.
I can't imagine.
You know, and it raises the question, right? Is this someone who's capitalizing on their identity?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this someone who's genuinely struggling to navigate a really complex world?
Yeah, I think we need to keep digging, look at the actions,
Yeah.
the impacts, the whole picture.
For sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we've got this like complex picture emerging, right?
Yeah.
Elliot Page, successful actor. Elliot Page, this vulnerable human being, sharing his struggles in Pageboy. And then there's Elliot Page, the activist.
Yeah, and I think that activism is not just lip service.
Yeah.
I mean, he was involved in some major actions.
Yeah, like what?
Like, he co-organized the Gender Liberation March in D.C.
Oh, wow.
This wasn't just a photo op or anything. This was like a demonstration calling for policy changes, you know, to protect trans people from discrimination and violence.
Yeah, and you have to understand the context here.
Yeah.
This march was happening while there was all this anti-trans legislation.
Absolutely.
Right, across the U.S.,
Yeah.
politicians were targeting trans youth, restricting access to health care,
Yeah.
trying to, like, dictate which bathrooms people can use.
Well, a hostile climate, really. And he
Yeah.
was stepping right into the firestorm, you know,
Yeah.
putting his fame and reputation on the line to
Yeah.
advocate for a community under attack.
Wow. And he didn't stop there.
No.
He's been vocal about the lack of opportunity
For sure.
for trans actors in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Like challenging the industry to do better.
To move beyond tokenism.
Yeah.
Create more nuanced and authentic representations.
And he's even talked about wanting to work with more trans directors and writers, right?
Yeah.
To create these spaces where trans stories,
Yeah, to tell their own story.
can be told, like, authentically.
Exactly.
So, okay, he's talking the talk.
Yeah.
But is he walking the walk?
You're right.
His first starring role after coming out was in Close to You,
Yeah.
a film about a trans man
Yeah.
navigating, like, complex family dynamics.
Interesting.
So it seems like a pretty deliberate choice, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's interesting, too, is how the film was made.
Oh, yeah. How so?
The director, Dominic Savage,
Yes.
he's known for this improvisational approach.
Interesting.
He doesn't use, like, traditional scripts.
Oh, wow.
He works with the actors to develop the story organically,
So interesting.
allowing for a lot of freedom and authenticity in the performances.
So Page had a lot of creative control then.
Yeah, a chance to really shape the narrative.
And he chose to tell a story
Yeah.
that was deeply personal, drawing on his own experiences.
Yeah, it's a far cry from those blockbuster action films.
Right.
He was known for pre-transition.
Yeah, totally different.
This is a very deliberate step towards like a more independent,
Yeah.
auteur-driven style of filmmaking.
I think that raises some questions.
Yeah, what do you think?
Like, is he prioritizing artistic integrity
Mm-hmm.
over commercial success?
Right.
Or is this just a calculated move
Yeah.
to align himself with, like, a certain type of filmmaking?
Right, one that's seen as more serious.
Yeah, more meaningful or whatever.
We have to consider the possibility that he's
Yeah.
trying to reinvent his image
Yeah.
to be seen as more than just like
Right.
a Hollywood star.
Yeah. More than just a pretty face.
But early reviews of Close to You were really positive.
Oh, interesting.
And critics praised Page's performance,
Oh,
saying it's his most raw and vulnerable work yet.
Yeah, there's that one scene
Tell me about it.
where he confronts his parents
Mm-hmm.
about their struggle to accept his transition.
So powerful.
So powerful.
Moving.
Yeah, and I think that resonated with a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially those who have experienced similar challenges within their own families.
Yeah, it's really like we're seeing this multi-layered persona.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
The acclaimed actor, the vulnerable author,
Mhm.
the outspoken activist, and now this artist
Yeah.
who's using his craft to explore these deeply personal themes.
It's complex. There's a lot to unpack here.
For sure.
Is this image making or a genuine outpouring of his true self?
Yeah, it's so hard to say.
And that's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah, because I think the question we're trying to answer here
Mm.
is Elliot Page genuinely committed to making a difference?
Yeah.
Or is he using his platform for personal gain?
Right. And to answer that,
Yeah.
we need to look beyond the surface.
Yeah.
Examine like the nuances of his actions, his words, his choices.
Yeah.
And consider the impact he's having, both positive and negative.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about the potential downsides then.
Okay.
Is there a danger of alienating certain audiences?
Yeah, some argue that his outspokenness has come at the cost of his acting career, right?
Oh,
He's
interesting.
not getting cast in those big budget blockbusters anymore.
Right.
Is that a sacrifice he's willing to make for his principles?
Yeah.
Or is it a sign that his star power is fading?
It's a good question. And there's also the question of his relationship with the trans community, right?
Right, exactly.
He's become this, like, really visible spokesperson.
Yeah, for sure.
But does that come with a responsibility to represent, like, all these diverse experiences?
Absolutely. I mean, some critics argue that he focuses too much on his own personal journey.
Yeah.
Potentially overshadowing the voices
Right.
of other trans people who have different perspectives.
Yeah, totally.
Different experiences.
And let's not forget, he's operating within the Hollywood system.
Right.
A system that's notorious for exploitation and superficiality.
Exactly.
So can he really be a force for change within an industry that is so resistant to it?
Yeah. It's a tough question, and there are no easy answers.
For sure.
But I think by examining them, by engaging in this kind of critical analysis, we can start to get a clearer picture of who he is, what his legacy might be.
And that's what this whole deep dive is all about.
Totally.
You know, we're not here to praise or condemn. We're here to, like, dissect.
Understand, grapple with the complexities.
Of a life lived in the public eye.
Absolutely. It's about trying to distinguish between the genuine and the manufactured, the visionary and the opportunist.
Because in a world where image is everything.
Oh, for sure.
It's more important than ever to be able to tell the difference.
Exactly.
Between those who are really trying to make a difference and those who are just trying to make a profit.
For sure.
We've spent a lot of time with Elliot Page, you know, looking at his life and career, his actions, his motivations. And it's pretty clear he's not afraid to use his platform, right?
Yeah, not at all.
To challenge the way things are.
Yeah.
But is he really committed to these causes? Or is there an element of, like, you know, self-promotion here?
It's hard to know for sure.
Yeah.
But one thing that really stands out to me is his focus on trans youth.
Oh, yeah.
He's been so vocal about the attacks on their rights.
Yeah, especially access to health care.
Oh, totally. Yeah, he's talked about how vital gender-affirming care is and how these political moves are really putting lives at risk.
It's scary, and I think this is where the line between celebrity and activism gets really blurry.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not just going to a gala or tweeting a hashtag.
He's out there.
You know, he's engaging with these policy issues.
Yeah, challenging these powerful figures.
Challenging powerful figures.
Yeah, and really using his platform to amplify the voices of those most affected.
And you know, it's not all grand gestures either.
Right.
Pageboy, he tells this story about meeting a young trans fan who was struggling with their identity, and he took the time to listen, to offer words of encouragement.
That's so important.
And I think it's a reminder that, you know, impact can happen on a personal level too.
Totally, yeah.
Those small acts of kindness, that willingness to connect, like one-on-one.
You can't fake that.
It's hard to fake, right?
Yeah.
It suggests like a genuine desire to make a difference beyond the spotlight.
Right.
But let's look at the other side of the coin.
Okay.
Some people say that Page's advocacy, while obviously well-intentioned, might actually be overshadowing other voices.
So interesting.
Right. In the trans community.
Yeah.
There's a concern that his fame is giving him too much attention and maybe silencing other perspectives.
Yeah, it's a valid point, and I think representation is crucial. And the trans community isn't a monolith.
No.
Right. There are so many diverse experiences.
Yeah, tons of different opinions.
Exactly.
And not everybody agrees with him.
Right.
You know, his approach, his political views.
Totally. And it raises the question, right? About the role of celebrity activists.
Yeah, what is their responsibility?
Yeah, do they have a responsibility to represent everyone?
Right. Or is it enough to speak their truth?
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
Right.
And I think it's something that he's grappling with, too. He's talked about the pressure to be this spokesperson, right?
Yeah, and the weight.
Like the weight of representing a whole community.
An entire community. Yeah. And we can't forget that he's still part of Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is built on image and, like, commercial success.
Totally.
And his outspokenness has definitely had an impact,
yeah,
on his career.
It's hard not to see.
He's not in those big blockbusters anymore.
Right.
So is he willing to sacrifice that?
Yeah, is it a sacrifice?
Right.
Or is he trying to make a new path for himself?
Yeah, align his work with his activism.
It's hard to know for sure.
It's really tough, but
what's clear is that he's not playing by the old rules.
No.
He's challenging these norms, taking risks, using his platform to really push for change.
So fascinating.
This is so interesting, right?
Is he a visionary?
Yeah.
Like leading the charge for a more inclusive Hollywood?
Yeah, or is he...
Or is he an opportunist?
Right.
Using this for his career?
The truth is probably somewhere in between.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, he's a complex person.
Yeah.
He's driven by his own beliefs, but also by professional ambition.
For sure.
And that complexity is what makes him so compelling.
That's what makes it so hard to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we'll ever know his true intentions.
Right, but we can look at his actions.
Yeah.
His words, the impact, and try to figure it out.
And I think that's what this deep dive is all about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about judging. It's about, analyzing, thinking critically. Considering different views.
Yeah, wrestling with all these nuances.
Yeah, I like that, wrestling.
Of a life lived so publicly.
And I think in a world where image is everything,
totally,
it's more important than ever to be able to tell the difference.
Between the real and the fake, right?
Exactly.
Elliot Page has definitely given us a lot to think about.
Oh, yeah.
And he's challenged us to look at our own assumptions.
Yeah.
About fame, about activism, and, the power of storytelling.
Absolutely. And he's shown us that the line between grifter and gifted
can be pretty thin.
Is really, really thin.
Yeah. So we'll leave you to think about that.
Grifter or gifted.
You decide.